What if the healthiest, most sustainable vegetables weren't found in a grocery aisle, but in your great-great-grandmother's forgotten garden? Long before supermarkets, before seed catalogs and flashy marketing, Native American communities cultivated a stunning variety of crops. These weren't just survival foods. They were carefully selected, nutritionally dense, and culturally vital. Many of them have quietly vanished from our plates, edged out by modern monoculture and global food trends. But now, they're ready for a comeback. Let's journey through 25 incredible vegetables Native Americans grew, plants that once nourished civilizations, healed the sick, and could change the way we eat today. Groundnut, Apios americana, the original protein-packed root. Before the potato rolled in from Europe, Eastern native tribes relied on the humble groundnut. Don't let the name fool you. This isn't a peanut. It's a vining legume with underground tubers that pack more protein than any root you'll find in a grocery store. Indigenous communities like the Wampanoag and Lenape cultivated it in moist areas, often near streams. It was a food of resilience, slow to harvest, yes, but worth the wait. Early European settlers wrote about groundnut as one of the few native foods that kept them alive. It tastes like a mashup of a potato and a peanut, earthy, starchy, and filling. So why did it vanish? Probably because it grows slowly and doesn't fit into modern farming machinery. But for flavor and nutrition, a plus. Jerusalem artichoke, the misnamed marvel. Ironically, the Jerusalem artichoke is neither from Jerusalem nor an artichoke. Known as sunroot to Native Americans, this tuber grows like a weed and tastes slightly like a sweet potato with a crisp bite. It was an important staple among tribes like the Dakota and Pawnee, who used it both for food and medicine. The plant's tall sunflower-like stalks also served to attract pollinators and shade other crops. Early French explorers marveled at how native people roasted, boiled, or dried the roots. Modern diets ignore it, mostly due to one inconvenient truth: it's gassy. But that's nothing some kitchen prep can't fix. Prairie turnip, Soralea esculenta, the underground lifeline. Forget kale chips. On the Great Plains, the prairie turnip was the snack of choice. Used extensively by the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Omaha, this hardy tuber was dug up in late spring and eaten fresh or dried for winter storage. It takes 2 to 4 years to mature, one reason it never caught on in commercial farming. But it's a powerhouse of fiber, vitamin C, and iron. Sweet and nutty when roasted, prairie turnips were often ground into flour and used in pemmican or mixed with meat and berries. It's time this resilient root got more respect. Amaranth, the glittering grain and green combo. Today, amaranth is trending in health food circles, but Native Americans were cultivating it long before anyone put it in a protein bar. The Aztecs revered it, the Hopi used it as a food dye, and nearly every region had its own variety. The leaves are rich in calcium and iron, while the seeds rival quinoa in protein. It was a 2-in-1 superfood before that was even a thing. Unfortunately, colonial suppression of indigenous spiritual practices meant amaranth fields were sometimes destroyed, especially in the Southwest. Yet it persists, growing wild, ready to reclaim its place in your garden and your smoothie bowl. Skunk cabbage, the vegetable with an identity crisis. Okay, hear us out. Skunk cabbage gets a bad rap because of its smell, but indigenous communities in the Northeast knew how to prepare it safely and effectively. The Iroquois used it medicinally and even cooked the roots after drying them thoroughly. It's not for the casual forager. Improper preparation can lead to burning sensations. But once handled right, its starchy roots offered food during the leanest months. Think of it as the weird uncle of the plant world. Awkward, misunderstood, but deeply useful. Chenopodium, lamb's quarters, the salad you're probably pulling as a weed. Sometimes called wild spinach, lamb's quarters are a nutritional marvel. High in calcium, vitamin A, and protein, it was widely eaten by Native Americans across the continent. While modern gardeners rip it out like a nuisance, tribes like the Navajo and Zuni prized it for both its leaves and seeds. The greens were sautéed like spinach or added to stews, while the seeds were ground into flour. Bonus: it thrives in poor soil and grows faster than most supermarket greens. You've probably walked past this superfood without knowing it. Staghorn sumac, the tangy flavor booster. Not every vegetable is a leafy green or starchy root. Some are bright red cones bursting with flavor. Native Americans used staghorn sumac to create a tart, lemony beverage, something like nature's Kool-Aid. The berries were also ground and used as a spice, similar to how Middle Eastern cuisines use sumac today. It's anti-inflammatory and loaded with antioxidants. Tribes like the Cherokee and Iroquois understood its power, both as a culinary flavor and as medicine. We tossed it aside for lemons and limes. But why not both? Wild leeks, ramps. The onion that started festivals. Every spring, native communities across Appalachia and the Northeast harvested ramps, pungent wild onions with a garlic kick. They were one of the first green things to grow after winter, making them a symbol of renewal and survival. Cherokee and Shawnee people considered them a delicacy, often eating them fresh or cooking them into stews. They're now trendy at farmers markets, but still underappreciated in wider diets. Just don't overharvest. They take years to regrow. Cattail. The survival plant you can eat from root to tip. Found in wetlands coast to coast, cattail is basically nature's supermarket. Native Americans used every part: roots for starch, young shoots like asparagus, pollen for flour, and fluff for insulation. The Menominee and Ojibwe used cattail rhizomes as a winter starch source. And guess what? It tastes surprisingly good, like a cross between cucumber and corn when young. It's absurd that this plant is more likely to be used in decorative ponds than dinner plates. Hopness bean, Apios praesiana. This lesser-known cousin to the groundnut is native to the southeastern U.S. and was grown for its edible beans. Unlike modern beans, it grows on a perennial vine and is almost bulletproof in poor soils. Cherokee and Creek communities cultivated it for centuries, praising its high yield and nutritional profile. It produces protein-rich beans and tubers, like a combo deal in plant form. Yet modern agriculture forgot all about it. Time to remember. Indian potato, Origenia. Tiny, tasty, and tough as nails. This tiny root was beloved by tribes in the Rocky Mountains and Pacific Northwest. Though it looks like a weed, its roots are edible and pleasantly sweet when roasted. Gathered by hand in alpine meadows, Indian potato served as a backup food when larger crops failed. Native women passed down harvesting knowledge across generations. While it may never be mass-produced, it's perfect for home gardeners looking for native, climate-resilient food. Nodding onion, nature's perennial scallion. The nodding onion, with its graceful arching flower, isn't just pretty, it's entirely edible. Native Americans from the Great Lakes to the Rockies used its bulbs and greens in all kinds of cooking. It grows wild, needs no coddling, and survives freezing winters. The Sioux and Blackfoot tribes gathered it as a flavoring herb long before commercial onions arrived. Today, it sits in wildflower gardens, quietly waiting to be rediscovered as food. Devil's claw, Proboscidea. Native to the Southwest, devil's claw looks like something from a Tim Burton film. Gnarled, curved seed pods that dry into spiny hooks. But inside those pods, edible seeds rich in oil and protein. The Tohono O'odham and Hopi tribes used the immature pods as vegetables and the seeds for flour. It also has deep cultural importance, used in basket weaving and ceremonies. Think of it as a cross between okra and sesame. It's quirky, nutritious, and wildly overlooked. Sunchoke greens, the forgotten top half. We love talking about Jerusalem artichokes. But did you know the leafy tops are also edible? Native Americans use them like chard or spinach. They're high in vitamins and available just before the tubers mature. By harvesting both the top and root, native farmers made full use of the plant, a sustainability model modern agriculture could learn from. Why throw out half the crop? Maize greens. Yes, corn leaves are edible. We all know Native Americans cultivated corn long before Columbus. But what most people don't know is that the leaves and young shoots were often cooked like greens. The Hopi, Zuni, and Iroquois cooked young corn leaves in early summer, sautéed with herbs or dried for winter use. It's a bit like collards with a touch of sweetness. Today, we discard them entirely. Let's bring back the full corn experience, roots, stalks, and all. Wild plums, the forager's dessert. Before pies came with latticed tops and grocery store labels, Native American tribes were harvesting wild plums, tart, sweet, and explosively flavorful little fruits that grew all over North America. The Dakota, Pawnee, and Ojibwe made great use of native plum trees. The fruit was eaten fresh, sun-dried, or cooked into thick sauces and syrups. Plums weren't just dessert. They were survival food with attitude. And let's not forget the pits. Many tribes cracked the kernels inside and used them in pemmican or medicine. If you think prunes are old school, wild plums are their wilder, better-tasting cousins. They grew without any pruning, spraying, or fuss. Modern agriculture replaced them with larger, store-ready plums. But if flavor were a sport, wild plums would leave commercial varieties in the dust. Chiltepin peppers. Tiny but mighty, don't be fooled by the size of the chiltepin. This marble-sized pepper packs the kind of heat that makes jalapenos look like amateurs. Native to the Southwest and Mexico, it's considered the original wild chili. Used by tribes like the Tohono O'odham and Seri, these peppers were gathered fresh or dried for seasoning. They were essential in stews, rubs, and even medicine. Yes, capsaicin was used to treat pain, improve circulation, and ward off colds. What's wild is that we replace this incredibly resilient, disease-resistant pepper with commercial varieties that need babying. Chiltepin grows happily in rocky soil, in full sun, with zero pampering. The fact that it hasn't been planted in every yard is honestly a missed opportunity for spice lovers everywhere. Buffalo gourd, nature's multi-purpose. The buffalo gourd, no, not a Thanksgiving decoration. Native Americans across the Southwest cultivated it for its oil-rich seeds, starchy roots, and even its soap-like pulp. The Hopi and Zuni used the mature gourds for cleaning, as the dried pulp contains natural saponins, soap-like chemicals. But the young fruit was edible when properly prepared, and the seeds were roasted like pumpkin seeds for protein and fat. It was a plant of versatility. Roots for calories, seeds for nutrition, rinds for utensils, and pulp for cleanliness. Today, it's more likely to be grown as an ornamental curiosity, but it once helped sustain entire desert communities. Tule root, the swamp vegetable. Tule is a type of bulrush reed that grows in wetlands across the West. And yes, it's edible. Tribes like the Pomo, Miwok, and Yurok harvested the thick rhizomes and peeled them to reveal sweet, starchy flesh. It's not glamorous, but it filled bellies and carried entire communities through lean times. The young shoots were eaten like celery, and the roots were roasted or boiled to extract sugars. The bonus? Tule reeds also became thatch for homes, mats, and boats. That's right, your dinner could also roof your house. No wonder these plants were so highly valued. Swamps may be soggy, but they were rich grocery stores for native people. Wild carrot, Daucus pusillus. The native cousin of your salad staple. Most people associate carrots with bright orange supermarket varieties. But wild carrots, pale, small, and intensely aromatic, were a native staple in many regions. Tribes from the Pacific Northwest to the Southern Plains dug them up for their strong flavor and nutritional value. The roots were often roasted or used to flavor broths, and the feathery greens made excellent additions to herbal teas and poultices. Unlike modern carrots, these weren't hybridized for sweetness. Their flavor is stronger, almost herbal, and they were prized as medicine as much as food. And yes, they're related to Queen Anne's lace, which shows up in fields everywhere, quietly flaunting its edible roots while we ignore it. Indian celery, Lomatium. the West Coast's secret flavor. Indian celery doesn't look like much, scraggly, umbrella-shaped, and easily mistaken for a weed. But to tribes like the Karuk, Nez Perce, and Shoshone, it was a powerful food and healing plant. The roots were baked or roasted to soften their fibrous texture, releasing a rich, spicy aroma similar to celery mixed with sage. The stems and leaves added strong flavor to broths and meat dishes. More importantly, the root was used to treat respiratory illnesses and infections. During the 1918 flu pandemic, native communities turned to Lomatium for its potent antibacterial properties. So why aren't we all growing this plant today? Probably because it doesn't win beauty contests. But your immune system doesn't care about appearances. Ground cherry. Native Americans didn't just eat for survival, they ate for delight. Ground cherries, which look like golden berries wrapped in paper lanterns, were one of the more delightful discoveries in native gardens. Tribes like the Iroquois and Miami cultivated them for fresh eating and preserves. When ripe, they taste like a cross between a tomato, pineapple, and vanilla. The fruit grows in husks that protect it from pests and spoilage, nature's biodegradable packaging. They're rich in vitamins A and C, and the entire plant is drought-resistant. With a little care, they'll grow anywhere with sunshine. Yet most modern eaters have never even heard of them. Fix that. Grow them. Eat them. Tell your friends. Camas root. If you've ever seen a field of blue camas in bloom, you know it's breathtaking. But this beautiful wildflower was also one of the most important foods for tribes in the Pacific Northwest. The roots are rich in complex carbohydrates and, after slow roasting, develop a sweet, nutty flavor that some compare to baked figs. But timing was everything. Confuse blue camas with its deadly cousin, death camas, and the meal turns tragic. Still, with careful identification, camas was a critical survival crop. Tribes like the Nez Perce and Salish even held communal digs and slow pit roasts that lasted for days. Modern diets could use more of that kind of community, and more of that kind of vegetable. Wild sunflower. Sunflowers weren't just eye candy, they were a complete meal source. Native tribes used not only the oil-rich seeds, but also the tender sprouts and young stalks. The stalks were peeled and eaten fresh, similar to celery, and the buds were cooked like artichokes. Tribes like the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara bred multiple sunflower varieties for oil, dye, and food. Today, we toss the stalks and focus solely on the seeds, or worse, grow them just for looks. The original farmers of these plants knew better. There's food in every part of the sunflower if you know how to use it. Sumpweed, Iva annua, the nutrient powerhouse. Sumpweed may not sound appetizing, but this ancient grain was cultivated by Native Americans thousands of years ago alongside sunflower and goosefoot. Its seeds are shockingly high in protein, healthy fats, and minerals. The Caddo, Illinois, and other Mississippi Valley cultures grew it intentionally, despite its pungent smell when crushed. So why did it disappear? Probably because it didn't smell like cinnamon buns and required processing. But from a nutrition standpoint, it beats out many modern grains. If we can deal with the smell of kale smoothies, we can handle sumpweed. These 25 vegetables aren't just historical trivia. They're solutions. They're climate resilient, nutrient dense, and naturally adapted to North American ecosystems. Many require little irrigation, no synthetic fertilizer, and support local pollinators. You don't need to be a botanist or historian to start planting these vegetables. Many are available through native seed banks, heirloom seed companies, or even growing wild in your region right now. By bringing them back, you're not just reviving food, you're restoring history, sovereignty, and ecosystems. These crops were bred over generations for flavor, resilience, and purpose. They're what food looked like before industry took over. Try one, try three, or be bold and dedicate a whole garden bed to them. Your gut, your taste buds, and maybe even your ancestors will thank you.